This grilling season, don't just fire up the barbecue. Elevate it with meats from around the globe, delivered straight to your door by the Butcher Shoppe Direct. They're not your average butcher. Butcher Shoppe Direct sources premium cuts from over 5 continents: Argentina, Japan, New Zealand, Spain, the US, and right here in Canada. Whether it's a tomahawk steak from Australia or melt in your mouth Wagyu from Japan, they bring the world's best to your backyard. And here's the game changer. Every order is cut fresh on the day of delivery. No sitting in a freezer, no guesswork, just top quality meat, expertly prepared and grilled ready. Planning a cookout? Check out their handcrafted burger patties and small batch sausages, perfect for taking your barbecue from good to unforgettable. And right now, you can save 15% off of your first order. Just visit butchershopdirect.com and use promo code EatingWild15 at checkout. Plus, get free delivery on all orders over $250. That's EatingWild15 to save, and free delivery when you stock up. Butcher Shoppe Direct. Premium, fresh, delivered.
Do you go wild when you're eating, or do you eat wild?
So when you're outdoors and you got good company, good people, you fish in the box, you know what, I'll be honest, I think this has been one of the best days of my life. Welcome everybody to the Eating Wild podcast. I'm your host, Antonio Smash Meleca. Guys, this is a special day for me personally. I'm with one of the guys that I grew up watching and idolizing, Mr. Italo Labignan.
Thank you. You said that well. So I've got a question for you.
Yeah, tell me.
Do you go wild when you're eating, or do you eat wild?
That's a great question. So we go wild while we're eating, because when you eat, it's always a feast. And when you have a feast on the table, it's always wild, brother.
I agree.
You know?
Agree. So you know what the goal for today is?
Tell me.
No, I'm asking you. Do you know what the goal?
For me,
Think about it.
Yeah, the goal is to catch some walleye. The goal is to keep some walleye. And the goal is to eat some walleye. And the experience of being out here on the water with you is probably, for me, the best goal of all. But yeah, you tell me, what are you most excited about today?
Having fun.
Yeah.
Having fun.
Absolutely, yeah.
Don't worry, the walleye is there.
We'll
catch them. Don't worry.
We'll get them.
What's your personal best?
Personal
30
best.
inches, 32, 34?
No, my personal best I got this year. You asked me earlier if I've gone out walleye fishing lately. My personal best was 27.
Yeah, it might be hard to beat today, but maybe.
You think so?
Yeah.
Well, 27 for me was a big fish. We got it trolling. Today we'll be doing something a little bit different, which I'm excited. We're going to be casting for them. You said they hit like muskie.
Yep.
I can't wait to get out there. We're going to catch them. We're going to pop them. We're going to cook them with the legend, Canadian sport fishing, Italo. So come with us, come for the ride and enjoy it. We're going to eat them too, right?
Yes. Yep.
Let's do it, brother.
Come on. All reels other than this reel that my friend Benjamin Rubini and I designed,
wow,
that has this funny spool. This is a saltwater reel. This is the 1.0 boom. There's 4 of them.
Okay.
So it's heavier, it's stainless steel, there's no plastic in it. But this is the most important thing. All reels, I don't care if you pay $1,000, $2,000 for Shimano, and Shimano makes good reels. If a reel has any flat spots on top, when you're done casting, especially with braid, if the line goes across the top when you close the bail, because there's a flat spot, you get a loop and you reel in. If you don't realize that loop is there and you go to cast again, you're going to get what they call a wind knot or a big tangle. So I would encourage you when you cast, just to make sure, flip the bail over manually so that the line goes onto the thing, not here.
Right.
If you get a tangle, I'll know why. That'll be why. Okay. So that one, the line, there's no flat spot, right?
Right.
It either has to come off or go onto the reel. And also we didn't put a spring. So this is manual, so there's no spring failure for your bail. So when I cast, I snap it over for that purpose, so people don't get wind knots. You ready to catch some fish?
I'm ready to catch fish. Let's do this.
So Antonio,
Yes.
when did you get the love for fishing?
That's a great question. You have a huge part of that because I grew up Italian family. My brother and my sister, they were not into fishing. My father wasn't into fishing, but I had some cousins that were into fishing. And I remember on TV Saturday mornings watching yours truly here next to me smash fish in the rivers, actually. Yeah, I fell in love with river fishing early. And it was funny because I had no gear, I had absolutely nothing. And my father for Christmas that one year, I'll never forget it, he bought me my first set of hip waders. I lived in Mississauga, so I was close to the Credit River. And my first waders, I got my vest, I got my first center pin rod.
Wow.
It was an Islander.
Yep.
Didn't know how to use it.
Good reel.
Absolutely didn't know how to use it, but my father wanted to make sure I had the best gear. And I remember walking over to Barbertown and walking down, and I watched these guys. I used to watch these guys and learn how to float fish myself, really, just from talking to people on the river. And watching you on TV was always helpful. You're very, I would say the thing that I loved watching you, Italo, was the information that you gave and how, also how everything that when you describe something or if you're talking about a certain species of fish, you dive deep into it, and it was really helpful for me growing up. And from that point on, I've met friends that had boats and were casting for bass and walleye. And again, I was always into the steelhead. That was my thing. And I thought that these lake fishermen were nuts. And I never got it until I caught my first largemouth on a bait caster. It was an old Fluger reel. And we were on Stokel Lake. And my buddy, co-host Luis Breda.
Yep.
And Daniel Hooks at Martin's, we cast it out. We were fishing by the golf course, and this largemouth comes out and smashes my top water. And I'll tell you right there, that then and there is when I was like, oh my God. I'm like, there's a whole new side of fishing that I don't know. And the next day I went out, I bought myself my own bait caster. I got a 7'6" rod and started spending more money.
Of course.
And I was hooked ever since. And you know what? I'll be honest. I think that I've evolved as a pretty good all-round fisherman, targeting muskie and targeting certain species of fish for a long time. I think kind of took away years of fish that I could have probably been like multi-species fishing. I think is the best.
Yep.
And
I
for
agree.
a long time, we were always just targeting muskie.
Yep.
It's because we just got into this big muskie, fever, and we were always out there. And you know what it's like, only chasing one species, especially muskie.
Yep.
And lately, we've been really multi-species fishing, and it's been fun. It's been great, and I enjoy it a lot more.
Yep.
But yourself, Italo, you've been doing this so long, you've been on TV and you fish with so many different people, and we're talking about in Florida, all over the world. When did it start for you? It's
12 years of age, and it was recommended by a doctor. You know how kids go through puberty?
Right.
So when I was around 12, I'd be playing road hockey, and one minute you love your buddy, the next minute you want to break your hockey stick on him, that kind of thing. And my parents were immigrants, so they both worked hard just to be able to afford their first place, and stuff. And they took me to the doctor. His name was Dr. Cherawati. I'll never forget it. And they said, what's wrong with our kid? He's got these emotional highs and lows and stuff. And he was pretty wise. He said, do you spend much time with him? And they said, no, we're both working. My mother was a paid worker at Sklar Peplar, where she could only earn how fast she could sew stuff. And my dad was a barber all his life.
Wow.
So he said, why don't you do something with him? Take him fishing or something. And he wasn't a fisherman, right? So they bought me a $9.95 Simpson Sears rod spinning rod with a bunch of lures and floats and stuff. And the first place that we went fishing was Cranberry Marsh in Whitby.
Whitby.
Yeah, just off of Baseline Road. I didn't know what I was doing. We spent about an hour, didn't catch anything. Then the next weekend, being Italian, they would make a bit of a picnic lunch, and we'd go to Finland Falls, and I'd fish from shore and get some panfish. And of course, everything was kept, because Italians like to keep everything, right?
Yeah.
Save on grocery bills, live on tomatoes kind of thing, right? And I got to know fishing a little bit more. Then by the time, let's say a year passed, I had such an appetite for fishing that I read every fishing book in the Oshawa Public Library that they had to order more books in, right? Like books on ichthyology, the study of freshwater fish, not just like, you know, magazines and stuff. And when I graduated from high school, I fished so much that I didn't do a lot of things that normal kids do, hang around and stuff, you know. And when I dated my first, who ended up being my first wife, she said to me, do you have any hobbies or anything? I said, well, I don't think you really want to know about my hobbies, you know, how are you? Because I thought she would think I'm crazy, that I dreamt fishing, thought fishing, everything was fishing, right? So when it was time to go to college, I was going to be a teacher, maybe an accountant. But somebody told me about Fleming School of Natural Resources, and I decided to become a fish and wildlife technician. But they only accepted 30 students out of 3,000 in the fish and wildlife course. So I almost got an ulcer trying to be the best student that I could to get into the fish and wildlife course. I got into it, and I was so cocky because I knew so much about fishing, Antonio, that I told my fish and wildlife professor, I'm going to get perfect in the course. So I'll give you some advice. No matter how confident you are, how good of a chef you are,
Got me off guard.
it's okay.
No matter how good you are.
Don't tell people. Just, you know, don't tell them that you're the best kind of thing. They'll tell you, right? So, interesting story. I got a 98, and I got marked very hard. And about 30 years later, when I'm at the Toronto Sportsman Show, and this is a really cute story, and someone's winning a trip, they're drawing a trip to Sun's Lodge in BC, you know, it's in the middle of the Canadian Sport Fishing Series and everything, and there's a lineup of people to get autographs. I see my professor, Tom Harrison, in the background, and I wave to him. And after I'm done talking to the people and they draw the person that won the trip, he comes over to me and he says, you know, there's something that's been bothering me in all my life. You know how I gave you a 98? You had perfect.
No
but
way.
I didn't want you to.
Get out of here.
And I said, it's okay, Tom. It's okay. True story, you know?
That's amazing.
Yeah, so
30 years later.
It was bothering him the whole time.
Oh
right?
my God.
Yeah,
That's incredible.
it was wonderful.
So 30 years later, you find out you did perfect.
Yeah.
And
okay.
you made a little bit of a career out of that as well.
A little bit.
And you know, what made you take your talents to TV? Like because it's not easy. Like being a good fisherman's one thing.
You're going to be surprised. This is my testimony. So we just had Amanda,
Yep.
right? She was just an infant. I was going to college and started working for the MNR. After graduating from college, I would have been 78. And I had a talk with God. I said, Lord, thank you for the beautiful wife that you've given me, little Amanda, the baby,
Yep.
Rosie, the dog that we have, the passion that you've given me for fishing and the outdoors. I'm going to give it all back to you. So this was a little short prayer. I didn't kneel down or anything. Just walking down Victoria County Road 17 in Lindsay. And you know what? From that day forward, he took me on exactly the road that led me to doing the show. I was shaving in the morning, and I would be talking to my face in the mirror about fishing. Does that sound normal?
Absolutely not.
No. So I had an idea to draw a logo. Now this is way before Canadian sport fishing. I drew a logo of a maple leaf with a fisherman in it. Didn't know what that meant, but I just did it. And then in about 80, I'm going to say 83, 84, I met an Australian TV producer that was making $7,000 a week, doing like Canada Dry commercials and, you know, GM commercials and stuff.
Right.
His name was Colin McLaren. and I was fishing for steelhead that you have a passion for at the mouth of Wilmot Creek in March.
Oh yeah.
And I caught about 15 steelhead. They were all big. I'm talking like 15 to 20 pounds because it was the big females that were staging to go up into Wilmot Creek. And this guy drove a Toyota Land Rover down, and he drove it down on the bluffs at such an angle because he was trying to get down. He wasn't there to fish, just to see what was going on, that he almost flipped the truck. So he walks down about a half a mile, because I'm the only guy at the mouth of Wilmot Creek waiting in the lake. And he said to me, look, my name is Colin, I'm here, on a work assignment. I've got a rental vehicle and I'm worried about flipping it. Do you want to try moving it back or forward? And I said, sure. So I thought if he got it in that position, and maybe if I back it up real slow, I can get it out of it. So I got it out of it, and he said, you're a really nice guy, and I was catching fish while he was talking to me. By the way, I entered some of the fish. I got a Fenwick Master Angler Award from that day from catching all those big fish and stuff. He said, you're a really nice guy. Have you ever thought about having your own TV show? Now, this is like 80, 83, 84. No, but I mean, we had VCRs and 8-track tapes.
Right.
I don't even know if cassettes were out yet. Nobody knew anything about TV or anything. And I said, no, I haven't thought about it. And he said, well, why don't we meet at the fishing show, Toronto Sportsman Show, and I'll tell you, what you should do and stuff. So I met him at the Toronto Sportsman Show. He came because I was working one of the booths, because I was already working with companies like Lowrance and Rappel and stuff,
right.
Just because they knew I fished a lot. And he said, you got to find a production company and try to do a deal with them, see if they'll shoot a pilot for you, and tell them that you don't have any money, because he knew I was just a young dad, right? Any money, and if you get a network to take it, then they get to produce it. And then he told me about sponsors and, bartering commercial time and stuff.
Right.
And I did that, and the show started. So guess what I realized when that happened? First of all, the logo that I did became the Canadian Sport Fishing logo.
Okay, so that's iconic.
When you talk to a camera, guess what you see if you're the camera?
Your mirror.
My face.
That's
so
right.
I was so comfortable talking to my face, because you're not talking to people, right? So God was training me like 10 years before for it. So that's how the show started. When we started, there was no Fishing Canada. There was Red Fisher, and Izumi just started, I think, the same year. So the Violas were still fishing tournament, and they had Danco, and
Yeah.
they were just learning how to run bass boats and stuff, because it was a funny time in tournament fishing in Ontario. And then everything else is history. I met Henry. He came up to me. I'm not a sports guy, and he said, hey, I'm Henry Waschuk. I play for the Hamilton Tiger Cats. And I'm like, yeah. So,
Yeah.
it didn't matter to me. And he was looking to get out of football because he was getting hurt.
Right.
And, at his age, you're a little old. They're all young guys that want to make a name for themselves. So we started working together. And that's how the show started, and went to companies. And companies at the beginning were bidding. Like Berkeley wanted to be the only sponsor. So they bought 3-4 commercial time slots,
Right.
because they didn't want any competitors and stuff.
And how was it for your editing? And did you have any part of how you wanted a certain look for your show?
Oh, of course. Yeah, we didn't know anything about editing. I edit now.
Right.
I and stuff for YouTube and things, and half-an-hour shows. But everything was non-linear. It was linear, right?
Right.
So we were mastering on 1-inch tapes at TSN. So people don't even know what a 1-inch tape, how heavy it is and stuff, the big reels.
Right.
For the first maybe 5-6 years. And we were shooting on 3/4. And then we went to Betacam and Betacam SP, always use Sony stuff. But we knew we wanted tips in the show, we wanted information, we wanted a narration. So we worked with Sandy Bishop, who was like the voice of Canadian sport fishing.
Right.
So we wanted to be very educational. We wanted people to learn something new, to take something away that would help them catch fish, and to make the show exciting. And I think we did that over the years. And the shows, I don't know if you know, they were broadcast on RAI, R-A-I, which
Yep.
is the Italian network,
Italian network, yeah.
on all French-speaking territories of the world, throughout the U.S. on many, many stations. I still meet people that were watching the shows on NESN, Madison Square Gardens, and of course the World Fishing Network when it came into creation, and Sportsman's Channel and all that stuff.
Wow.
Yeah.
Now, you did mention something that I have to tell
Yep.
our listeners that is crazy. Now, this is a crazy story as well. I've met you a few times at the Sportsman show, and again, I was one of those guys lining up and getting your autograph, and it's always cool to meet your mentors and people you grew up watching and idolizing. And for me to be on this boat right now is like so surreal. But crazy story. I'm full of tattoos here. I'm a chef. It's one of those things where you smoke, you drink, and you have tattoos. Well, I don't smoke or drink, but I got plenty tattoos. And I'll never forget this. My father, I was 16 years old, and he's like, I don't feel comfortable with you getting a tattoo till you're at least 18 years old. I said, okay, 18 years old, I'm getting my first tattoo. It had nothing to do with being a chef or anything. I wanted a tattoo. And I got my first tattoo, 18 years old, and it said my nickname, Tone, right on my shoulder. I was in my last year of high school, and I thought to myself, that was the most pain I've ever been through in my life. I got chirped because I'm a big dude, man. I'm 6 foot, 230 pounds. And here I am getting chirped by my friends because I told them it was the most excruciating pain I've ever been through in my life. We fast forward, I'm in my mid-20s now, and my cooking career started. I had a restaurant. My wife and I owned a restaurant at a very young age. And the tattoo trend was like, you got to kind of show off your arms or your hands when you're, holding a knife. It was just a thing. And it was, all the TV chefs all had tattoos. And I was like, I gotta get more. I gotta get more. I don't care about the pain. I'm gonna get more. And my father said, well, what are you gonna do? Like, you can't just get a tattoo for the sake of getting a tattoo. I said, well, I'm passionate about a couple things in my life, but the thing I was most passionate about was fishing. And I remember my cousin, Marcello, came to me and he says, I found the most unbelievable tattoo artist. You gotta meet her. Her name is Amanda, and she's in the Burlington, Oakville area. And he goes, the reason why I'm telling you this is because I know you want some sort of fishing sort of mural on your arm, and she's incredible and she did a lot of stuff. So I head in, I get my first consultation with Amanda, and I sit down and I said, I really want to do a fishing mural on my arm. And she says, wow. She's like, that sounds great. She's like, I'd love to be the one to do this for you. So she's like, let me draw something out. She goes, I think I have a little bit of inspirations. I said, okay, great. She's got, she's into the whole fishing thing, and she comes up with this drawing. And 2 weeks later, I showed it to my wife. I'm like, this is gonna be on my arm. And she's like, really? I said, yeah, this is gonna be on my arm. This is something that I want that represents me and my passion, and I found the person that can do this for me. So we fast forward, I go see Amanda. She does this beautiful tattoo. As you can see, that's me on the boat. And nice. there's my first tattoo. Like I said, Tone. I got that when I was 18 years old. And you got the boat, you got the trolling motor, you got me with my hat on, relaxing. Now, this tattoo, she comes and she takes a picture of it. She says, do you mind if I send this to my father? I says, absolutely. She goes, well, my father fishes. I said, well, a lot of people fish, but yeah, sure, take the picture and send it to your father. She goes, no, you don't understand. She's like, my father is a big time fisherman. I said, okay, cool. Well, let me know what he thinks. So she takes the picture and she sends the picture to her father. 2 weeks later is Father's Day. So we're in June. And I follow Amanda on social media because, we became friends. Doing a tattoo takes time, and you sit down with this person, and it's like being a barber or a hairdresser. You build a relationship. You build this relationship, and she puts a post out and says, "Happy Father's Day to the best father in the world," and there's a picture of her kissing her father, and I'm looking at this picture. I'm like, that looks like Italo. And I'm looking at it, and there it is, hashtag with your name. And I completely freaked out. I'm thinking, the whole time she's doing this tattoo, again, Italo was a really big inspiration for me part of the reason why fishing is such a huge passion for me. And your daughter was the one who created this tattoo for me. So that was the coolest story ever. Which is even cooler is that I texted her because she also went crazy on me for years. We became really close. And you probably don't even remember this, but she reached out to you. I said, I bought a place on Lake Scugog.
Yep.
And I said, I really want to get into crappie fishing. And I watched a YouTube video of you in early spring. Yep. You were with a gentleman there. I think he still guides out there. And you were just crushing crappie. And I'm like, I said, I hate to ask you this, Amanda, but do you think you can get some tips from your father about where I can find these crappie? Not even 2 hours later, she sends me an email. And she copied and pasted everything you said to her. Good. And you were not afraid to I'm a stranger. You never met me before.
I'll try to help you.
And it was incredible that this guy gave, like, I'm talking like I knew exactly where I was going to find these crappie. And after I was successful, I went in to see Amanda. She started designing. I got all my daughters and my wife, she designed all these tattoos when they were born, from my wife when she was born and my daughters. So all those conversations we had were about her father and how amazing you are as a person, a mentor and fisherman. And you raised an unbelievable daughter, great family, man. And for me to be standing in the boat right now, folks, is surreal. And I had to share that story because I don't even know if you know that.
It's a wonderful story. No, I know, and I'm very proud of Amanda. She's amazing. So just so you know, I'll tell you a short story because it relates to what we're doing here. So yesterday, we got 7 big walleye here.
Okay.
So the conditions have changed completely. The water's clear. There's no algae.
Okay.
So we're going to be moving, right?
Okay.
So I'm fishing, planning to do a 1-hour special in the Florida Everglades for tarpon. And the people that we're dealing with in Florida at a Port of the Islands resort, which is the last resort before you go down Alligator Alley, said Tony Renkart is like 70. This guy's a biker, but he's one of the best tarpon guides for fly fishing tarpon in the Everglades. So I go down there. It's been arranged for me to meet him. I meet him, and he's got a 457 strapped. This is Florida, right?
Right.
The Everglades. Leather jacket on, Harley. He's got a 21-foot skiff. This is before really electrics, so he had a polling platform and he had ribbons, maybe hundreds of ribbons on his polling platform. So I didn't know what that was about. So I introduced myself, he introduced himself. We go out of this long channel, it's about 2 miles, slow zone, and he's cursing because it's a slow zone for manatees and saying, you know, manatees shouldn't have been here in the first place. They brought him here from the Caribbean to eat them and stuff, you know. So we start running down the Everglades. The Everglades is only 6 feet above sea level, so everything, you can't see anything. There's no trees like here or landmarks and stuff. All of a sudden he pulls over and he goes into the mangroves, and there's a ribbon on the mangrove. He pulls it off and says, if the guys don't know how to get out of here, they shouldn't be in here in the first place, and he ties it onto the polling platform. So guys are tying ribbons so they can find the way back out, right? So we stop at the first spot. This is where it comes to what we're fishing here. Doesn't look like a fishing spot. And he goes, okay, you know, we're gonna fish here. I'm like, okay. So I'm casting, and I go after I don't know, 10 casts. I go, Tony, this isn't a fishing spot. He goes, I know. I just wanted to see if you could cast okay. Okay. You know, so that's the kind of guy that he was, right? So we did a great 1-hour special. You like tarpon fishing. Fly casting to tarpon that are stationary without spooking them, figuring out which is the head and the tail. The biggest one was about 120 pounds on a 9-weight fly rod in the mangroves. So you got your hands full because you're trying to keep them out of the mangroves. You don't want to break your rod, your line, and everything, right? Great 1-hour special. So this is a spot I wanted to make sure that you knew how to cast and retrieve. Okay. Now we're going to go find the fish.
Now we're going to go.
Okay, just so you know. Okay.
So I passed.
Come on, you passed.
Oh, God.
You can cast.
See that, folks? You never know. I'll tell you right now. Luis Top Dog Pereira, Christopher Showtime Johnson, if you're listening to this, I just got the approval from the man himself. So next time we fish together, you watch your lip, okay? Because they're always chirping me.
Hey, Eating Wild listeners, are you still searching for that perfect boat?
Xtreme Marine London has got you covered with new and used boat sales, service, and professional installation of marine electronics and accessories. Visit their London or Kingsville, Ontario locations today and get ready to make waves and catch that fish of a lifetime.
Xtreme Marine is your one-stop marine shop. Check them out at www.extrememarinelondon.com and follow their journey on Instagram and Facebook. Be sure to tell them that the Eating Wild Boys sent you.
Call it fishing, not catching. So Italo, I gotta ask you some questions. Being Italian,
See,
you know that food is a big part of our culture. Do you know your way around a kitchen?
Yes.
Do you do the cooking in the house? You and Barb ever fight over the stove, or?
no, Barb does salads.
Yeah.
She does great pastries, cookies, desserts. I do most of the meats. My favorite is lamb, roasted lamb, rosemary, garlic. We have lots of Ontario garlic.
Yeah.
We eat it every day. You know, it's part of the king of the kitchen, right in Italy. So I used to make prosciuttos and cured ham, all that stuff, sausages. Now not so much because the kids are out of the house.
Right.
And it's just me, and I just can't eat that much anymore. But I do quite a bit of cooking. I have a hazelnut cake recipe that was passed on. I don't know if you've ever baked.
I love baking, but I'll tell you right now, it's one of those things, being a chef,
Yep.
baking is a true art. It's, you know, you can follow a recipe right down to the T, and somehow, some way, it could get screwed up. So it's one of those frustrating things for me. You know what I mean?
Of course.
And I tell you right now, I think I make one of the best tiramisus. My wife will, you know, we argue every Christmas about the tiramisu recipe.
Yep.
And for me, I was always using Kahlua.
Yep.
She likes the Baileys.
Yep.
You know, so it's one of those things where I enjoy baking, but again, it's something that I can't perfect it. It's hard. Have you ever screwed up your hazelnut cake recipe?
No.
Never.
No. So
It's perfected.
yeah, so it's about a cup and a half of ground hazelnuts. We prefer to crack them
Yeah.
because sometimes the rancid, you know, or they're not good quality if they're already like in a package. 7 eggs with the egg whites, sugar. Very simple recipe.
Yeah.
But it's a traditional. It's a very moist cake from where we're from. Because where I'm from, northeastern Italy, it's called. I'm called a Friulano.
Friulano, yeah, of course.
Have you ever had Friulano cheese?
I was just going to say, it's one
Yeah.
of my favorite cheeses.
Yeah, one of my
Friulano
favorite
cheese, the best.
Yeah. So, anyway, yeah, I cook quite a bit. Lots of fish, obviously.
Yep.
Especially in Florida when we did the Here's the Catch TV series. We'd have a cleaning section and a recipe section. I was inspired by Anthony Bourdain
Yes.
to do a show like that where it's all about the culture and meeting people and having fun and, you know, eating and stuff. And it was sad because when the pilot, I didn't knock off his show, but it was similar to that.
Right.
And now there's so many, right? You know, on
Yep.
Netflix and all the different stations, that when it was accepted by the Sportsman's Channel, he passed away, which was really unfortunate, right? So we did a lot of grilling. You know, we talked about earlier about using, you know, kind of like the green egg thing. You know, all of the grilling was pretty well done on a barbecue.
Right.
You know, outside. And ceviche and everything else, raw fish, sushi, sashimi.
So,
Yeah, so I do. I mean, we got to eat, so you might as well eat well, right?
yeah, of course. And it's one of those things too where, you know, farm to table now is so popular.
Yes.
Everyone is you know, growing their own stuff when they can, and you know, getting fish, freshwater fish here, you know, there's so many different species that we can harvest. Obviously, it's the sport that drives me. I don't fish to eat, but I will tell you, lately I've been trying different recipes from people, and I think that's the coolest thing about going out with strangers. And in Florida, you mentioned being in Florida because obviously the saltwater fishing, there's so many different species. You mentioned ceviche. The first time I had ceviche in my life was an American guy, and you would think it'd be somebody from like South America or,
Yep.
you know, from Europe. And this guy, I met him and we were in West Palm Beach, and he's like, I'm gonna make you ceviche. We're gonna eat it was, and people said you can't eat these fish. It was a jack.
Yep.
It was a species of jack, and he made ceviche with this, with avocado,
Yep.
papaya, sliced red onions, lots of lime juice, and he served it with tortillas and pickled red onions. It was the best thing I've ever had in my life. And I was like, I've never had this before. And then you start talking to people you're fishing with, and they're like, no, ceviche's got to be done this way. It's a Peruvian thing, you know, or it's a Mexican thing, or it's an Argentinian thing.
Yep.
So when you get to talk to people and you find out different styles of eating their catch or whatever is always intriguing, and you want to do it. Like, I remember the first time I had a conch fritter, and I was in the Florida Keys, and last year my wife and I, we took the kids to Bahamas, and they said, have you ever had conch salad? I said, no, but I've had the best conch fritter of my life. And they said, where did you have the best conch fritter of your life? I said, well, I had it in the Florida Keys. The guy looked at me like I was nuts. He's like, you never had a conch fritter until you had a Bohemian conch fritter. So it's funny how everyone kind of
course,
takes it personally, you know what I mean? It's like, we make the best. It's like Italians, we always make it better, you know? You think you can make pasta? Well, we're gonna make it better. We're gonna show you the right way.
My favorite conch was when we filmed in the Turks and Caicos, and we did cracked conch, which is, you take the conch,
Yeah.
first of all you catch it, you actually get it, harvest it, and you take the meat out, and then you use a mallet, you cut it into maybe 1/4 to 1/2 inch slices, and take a meat mallet, pound it, lightly salt and pepper it, dip it in egg, and just do it in a frying pan. Amazing, the flavor.
You harvest the conch.
Yeah. Go and pick queen
wow.
conch. Yep. You can't do that, like I don't think in the U.S. because they're protected.
Right.
But in some of the islands, maybe the Bahamas, you can't either. But in the Turks and Caicos, you can just walk on the grass flats.
Oh my God.
And you see them, they leave a trail because they're eating the grass, the eel grass.
Yeah, it's something I have to have it now every time I go to these islands or.
If you can, try cracked conch. Done
Cracked
with
conch.
Egg. It's so simple. It's just pan fried very lightly, salt and pepper. It's dipped in egg first and just pan fried because you get the full flavor of the conch. It's not like a conch fritter. And even in a conch salad, if you use any kind of dressing or anything on it, you know, it
Takes away the flavor,
the
yeah.
flavor.
Cracked conch.
Yeah, cracked conch.
Now you've probably tried freshwater fish. I don't know how many times.
Of course, all of
Different
them.
ways.
Suckers,
Carp, whatever.
you name it.
If I were to say, Italo, what's the favorite way to have a freshwater fish? From Ontario.
Yeah, it's tough. I mean, for fish like walleye, like we're fishing for today,
Yeah,
deep fried is amazing. Like deep fried. It's not the healthiest, you know.
of course.
Even using an air fryer, it's not the same. It doesn't taste the
You need
same
to
as
fry
deep
it.
frying. Yeah, deep frying with a light coating on it. But for other fish, like the cold water fish, like let's say lake trout and salmon, either grilled or baked. I did a salmon recipe when we were up in the Northwest Territories. Not a salmon, it was a lake trout recipe because you have lake trout every day because you're out on Great Slave or Great Bear Lake and you're in the middle of nowhere. And so they have shore lunch and they get very creative. They'll do tomatoes and pineapple one day and all this stuff. So we took the lake trout and we had eggs with us. And you take the lake trout, you can do this at home too. So you take the lake trout into chunks. This is a fillet that you cut into pieces, you know, like 350 grams, let's say, like a serving for one person. And you dip it in egg and you pan sear it lightly. And then you bake it in the oven. Not for very long. So the searing gives it a different flavor, and then baking it.
You're locking it in.
I don't know what it does, but it tastes so good. Any of the fatty fish, like salmon or lake trout especially, just amazing done that way. So yeah, sometimes we get creative, but when you say, you know, what's my favorite, I'd probably have to say small trout, panfish, deep fried.
Deep fried.
Like crappie and perch and stuff. But small trout, like brook trout from Labrador, you know, just done in a little bit of butter, cut the head off. You don't even have to scale it and just do it in a frying pan, even for breakfast. just amazing, you know, because it's all wild. It's good for you, organic, and I mean, I love fish.
Of course.
Anchovies, you know, I have to have anchovies on my pizza. I take anchovies from the Mediterranean out of the can, the expensive stuff, and I get a container, like stainless steel, and I drop some olive oil in there, cut garlic up, rosemary, and then take the anchovies out of the can that are in olive oil, put them down, make a layer, and then more garlic, more rosemary, a little bit more olive oil, do another layer, and I let it cure in the refrigerator for like 1-2 months, just for it to get that flavor from the rosemary and the garlic. And the anchovies are already great. Most of them come from Spain or from Italy or Portugal.
It's amazing, man. You hearing this? So if there wasn't Italo, the fishing career,
Yeah.
I think there would have been an Italo cooking show.
Well, no, the Backyard Cooking had it, and we did do a series called Backyard Cooking. I
Right.
wasn't the host. We had a host that we hired, and we did all kinds of recipes, you know. I think it was for Life TV. I don't know if it's even still around in Toronto, Life.
Yeah, I
It
think
used to
so.
be one of the networks.
It's hard. Like, I know cooking on TV has been one of those things where it's very stressful in a sense where it's like, you know, you don't want to make any mistakes. You want to make sure it's cooked perfect for the camera and
Yep.
stuff like that. But I find that if you have fun with it, like you're having fun when you're fishing, you know, it's okay to screw up once in a while.
So I've got a question for
Right?
you. Have you ever made pasta from scratch?
Of course, yes.
Because I've been watching some of the series where
Yeah.
the guys are so into pasta,
Oh.
making pasta, all
Yeah.
the different types of pasta.
You know what? I have a recipe that it's pretty simple. Farina flour. I love using farina flour. Even when I make pizza, like when we do pizzas in the backyard, you know, I like using the farina flour. It makes a big difference when you're making pasta as well. It's thinner.
Yep.
You know, it's not as heavy. And I find that the biggest mistake they make when they're making pasta is they just purchase the wrong ingredients. So I like to use just the yolks in the egg. I like to use the yolks. And one thing that I don't add to my dough recipe is sugar. I'll tell you why, because I grew up in a family that they're all diabetics. My father, my grandmother, my brother now. So I stay away from, even in my pizza recipe, I know they say sugar activates yeast. It's the food for the yeast, right? So I actually started using honey. And honey is it's a healthier option, still gives you a bit of that sweetness. And all you have to do is just wait a bit longer because the yeast will actually activate itself. It just
How
takes
long do you wait?
2 hours.
Okay.
I would 2 hours. And you know what? Sometimes it could be less. It depends on if you're outside, if you're outdoor cooking, you're making pizza dough outside and it's warm outside. It all depends on the humidity and where you are. But if you're at home, you got your air conditioning on and you're not in a rush, wrap it up, set it aside, wait 2 hours. Some people will put it in the fridge and wait, 4 to 6 hours. But I think keeping it out and letting it activate on its own, and it's about creating those bubbles in that dough. And I'll tell you right now, it makes a big difference. But the farina flour, a little bit of salt, a little bit of olive oil, good quality olive oil. I'll tell you right now, it's a magic recipe. And you can do stuffed pasta, you can do gnocchi if you want to. I got great gnocchi recipes. Some people do with potato flour.
Yep.
I like just using the farina flour as well. And then obviously sifting the potato through it. But making pasta is like an art.
I believe it.
And it's so easy to screw up, but when there's nothing better than enjoying something that you've handmade with the family.
Do you have a custom roller?
Yes, yeah, absolutely I do. I have the same roller that I've been using for years.
Good.
And I might not even wash it, to be honest.
Yeah.
That's one of my things. I keep it.
Yep.
I keep it in my drawer. I use it and I put it away. I keep it clean. And the worst thing you could do is put your tools in the dishwasher, especially
so you
your
asked me
knives.
earlier if I cooked or Barb cooked.
Yeah.
What about in your household?
That's a great question.
After chefing all day.
After I cook all day, I gotta be honest, my wife Andrea is an amazing cook. She started cooking at a really young age when we were, and we tell my daughter this, who's now 15 years old, Victoria. When my wife Andrea was 15 years old, every single Friday she had to cook for her family.
Wow.
And her parents taught her at a young age, and she was breading veal cutlets, she was making roasts, she was making stews, pastas, fish. So she knows her way around the kitchen very well. And it's funny because I cook for hundreds of people every day. My biggest critics are my kids. Can you believe that? They're my kids.
I believe it.
And they, sometimes they prefer mums. Most of the time they prefer nonnas.
Yeah.
Nonna makes the best pasta, of course. My sauce recipe isn't good enough. They got to have the
Cute.
Sarmazzano tomatoes from the backyard. And my father-in-law, he grows his own tomatoes and jars of sauce. And they're our biggest critics. But yeah, Andrea knows her way around. We argue sometimes the way, like I said, when we make the tiramisu, we can't make it in the same room. But it's fun. Like I believe that cooking should be fun, just like fishing.
Yep.
And we're always telling people on the podcast, don't be afraid. You're not going to screw anything up. It's one of those things where you learn. You learn the first time if you burn something or you overcook something or you undercook something. You're not going to die. You're just going to learn from it. And the next time you do it, it's going to be better. And then better and better. And you learn new recipes and you have fun with it.
So how are you going to cook the fish we haven't caught yet?
Great question. First, we're going to catch them. Yep, we're going to catch them first. We're going to get them. I'm very confident. And there's a couple things I want to do, actually. I was actually talking to CJ.
Yes.
And he's out right now. He's out with his family. He goes to his family cottage every year. They go for a week, and he's been hammering the largemouth. Mm-hmm. I've been seeing on social media. And he says, "Are you going to keep any fish?" I said, "Well, I got the cooler. I forgot the ice, but we won't talk about that. But we got ice." And I'm thinking, this is going to be different, but I'm thinking what I want to do is I'm going to pan-sear if we get the walleye, I'm going to pan-sear the walleye. I want to do it bacala style.
That's interesting.
Yes,
I've never done that.
I want to do bacala style. And what bacala is it's codfish. Usually in traditional, it's codfish, but the way you do it is cherry tomatoes, pan-fried, olive oil, garlic, black olives, and capers. And we're going to chunk up this walleye. We're going to chunk it up into nice chunks. And we're going to pan-fry it. And as those cherry tomatoes are breaking down with the garlic and you get the saltiness from the capers, cornbread, and I'm going to tell you right now, it's going to be... I've never made it before, but I was thinking about it coming up here, and I said, I'm going to do it like bacala.
Yep.
I'm going to try it. So that's new. We just got to catch the fish, and then hopefully we can talk about how we put it together. But I got the kitchen ready at the shop.
Good.
Boys are waiting for me, but we're going to get them. I'm confident. This has pretty much been one of the best days of my life, whether we catch fish or not, to be honest. It's amazing to talk fishing with somebody that has fished all over the world and has been on camera, and still, Italo, we talked about this earlier, you still go out there and you still fish and you grind, and
oh yeah,
after all these years of being on TV, and you still have the passion for it, and it's incredible. We should do our own show. We should do a cook-off one day.
That would be interesting.
Would that be interesting?
Yeah.
Probably seen fish cook a million ways.
Yep.
I think I'd be more nervous cooking for Italo than I do the people I cook for every day. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Right? I'd be so nervous.
No.
Oh, for sure I would be. I've cooked for some of the most famous people in the world, and it's nothing to brag about. It's my job, it's my career, but sometimes when you have idols and there's a fish. Oh, you hit hard. That was a fish.
Okay, let's keep casting.
That was a fish.
I heard the drag go.
Yeah, that was a fish. Definitely a fish.
Hey boys, have you guys ever been to Gagnon Sports out in Oshawa?
Have I? That place is a gold mine. Picked up my new compound bow there last weekend. Hunting, fishing, archery, they've got everything.
Boys, don't forget the indoor shooting range. Gagnon's not just a store, it's an experience. They've been doing it right for over 50 years.
Seriously? I thought it was just another outdoor shop.
Just another shop. Buddy, it's family owned, Canadian proud, and huge. I've spent entire afternoons in there.
Or skip the trip and shop online. GagnonSports.com ships across Canada, fast, smooth, and packed with top-notch gear.
All right, I'm sold. Gagnon Sports trip next weekend?
Only if we hit the indoor range first, so I can show you guys how to shoot.
Gagnon Sports, 50 years of adventure and counting.
And don't forget to tell them the Eating Wild Boys sent you.
I have a fish on.
Why are you so quiet all of a
Oh,
sudden? You're talking about food and everything, and now you're like all...
Walter, folks. We do have a Walter.
Now you're all quiet.
No. This is a good one.
Look at you. I love it when my guests get the first fish.
Yes.
I was waiting so that it would get off. You done it, bro. What are you gonna do? We're eating. And you know what? He's a perfect eating size.
Yeah.
I want you to look. I know you're a chef. Look at his shoulders. I know you're already doing the math for the size of his cheeks.
Yeah.
This guy's a perfect eater. I'm going to guess that he's 19 or 20 inches. Yeah, you can go right up. Watch the gill rakers. Watch the gill rakers go right. Yeah.
Look at that. Beautiful
Let's see the
fish.
other side. Let's see the other side. Look at that. Look at the colors.
The color is beautiful on it.
Yeah. Okay, we're going to take a measurement.
Yep.
See if he's 19 or 20. Tape measure here, tape measure here, tape measure everywhere.
So do you like going tail at the
Yep.
zero? Yeah.
Tail at the zero. Lucky guess, eh? Between 19 and 20. You're not pushing him forward, are you?
No, I'm
okay,
pinching the
just checking.
tail.
Okay.
We good?
We're good. You done good. Bro.
Slimy
so-
high five right there.
That's the smell of success. You were so quiet. I've got a fish on.
Do you want to know why? Because
You weren't sure.
I hooked the fish.
Yeah.
Usually I'm like, fish on. But I remember what I was taught when we first started.
I like that.
I have a fish on.
A wise cook.
And then I said it again, and I said, I have a fish on. My heart's popping right now, but we have a fish on.
If you hold him out, he looks bigger.
You're right, this thing hit like a ton of bricks, man.
Yep. Look at that nice bed.
Get
And we're gonna do a little
Bella
knot.
Mangiati later. Well, folks, I'm gonna be honest, that was probably the most nerve-wracking I've been hooking into a Walter in my life, but I did the right thing. I said I have a fish on. Italo's happy.
You the man.
He's proud of me, so
You're the man.
that's successful.
Okay.
In my opinion, now we gotta get more.
Number 2.
Number 2. So this is post walleye smash. Me and Italo are having a conversation about food. I'm learning pretty quickly how Italo is quite the foodie, folks. But he mentioned to me something. This is just us shooting the breeze here. We're talking about different roots and vegetables that we can eat. And one thing I asked him is if he's ever had chicoria, which is like the dandelion root. And something I just learned is that you can actually eat the flower, which I've never, I mean, I think I've heard of it, but I've never had it before.
Yep.
And this is something that you've done
Yeah, they're delicious.
many times.
Yep.
And it's a simple thing. You said you clean it, you take the bottom stem out.
Yeah, so you just take the head,
Yeah.
which has the base, just no tubular stem. Take them, get a whole bunch of them, put them in a bag or something that, like a draining thing, and rinse them off. Let all the water get off it, and then just dip them in egg and pan fry them. They're delicious. We do that with, like
Zucchini flowers.
yeah, pumpkin. I've got squash
Pumpkin,
flowers in the
yeah.
garden, And you know what they taste like? They're delicious.
Oh,
Kinda
they are
sweet.
delicious, yeah. Some people, like we call them pitellis, but some people like to cut the flower up. Some people keep it whole. Some people even stuff them.
Yep.
But, it's funny you mentioned the word peasants. We eat, Italians, we like to, harvest and almost eat everything and be very, critical with each other on how everyone likes to prepare things. But for me, it was simple. My grandmother used to cut them up, used to fry it with a little bit of zucchini, the flour, egg, breadcrumbs, and cheese. and they were the most amazing things. We were talking earlier about artichokes as well. And stuffing artichokes is almost a tradition that we do during Christmas. But it's one of those things that it makes you feel like a child again, because you grew up eating this kind of stuff, right?
We got a fish on.
Nice large.
It's a beautiful order.
Yeah, try to lift it with the rod, but I think it's better the edge.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Doesn't he know we're going for walleye? He said it's about 18, 19 inches, I'm guessing.
That's a beautiful fish.
Yeah. Those tournament guys would like it, but they're screw it. I can feel that wind picking up. I don't know how to tell you this, but I think that's a storm behind us. Can you see it? That haze?
Doesn't scare me though.
No. We're Italian.
We're used to this stuff. We're just gonna get a little bit wet. Nothing wrong with
You know
that.
that song? I'm Italian. 17 or 18? 17? What do you think?
I'm gonna go 17 and a half.
Okay. It's like the price is right.
I'm gonna go $1, Bob.
Is it? It's good. I normally don't struggle that bad. Okay, let's see here. Yeah, 0. Oh my goodness.
Did I say 17 and a
No,
half?
just wait. Just there. It's right there.
Oh my God, it's 18.
It's over 18. Yeah. Mr. Bucket Mouth. You're gonna go. Ooh, good job.
Last cast of the day, folks.
It's like last call at the bar.
Usually last call at the bar, we go and we double fist. You know what I mean? I don't know in the fishing world if you can do that. We got weeds.
You got weeds.
I got weeds, last call. What a beautiful day.
Wonderful.
We got our fish. We got a couple fish today. The conditions seem to be perfect, but maybe it's too perfect. You know, it's one of those things where we hit so many different spots, and Italo in history probably would say they'd get tons of fish in these areas, but I'll tell you, it wasn't a grind at all because the conditions are beautiful. This has been one of the best days of my life. When you're outdoors, and this is eating wild, folks. When you're outdoors and you got good company, good people, perfect weather. We even hit some rain, which was great. It was nice and refreshing. Few fish in the box, and I personally had an experience that I'll never ever forget for the rest of my life, fishing with Mr. Italo. And thank you.
About food
and the food. Come on, man, this guy's a chef.
Culture.
He's quitting fishing, and he's coming.
So.
He's gonna come and cook with me every day.
I don't think so. I might do the dishes. Join your dad. I love doing dishes.
Oh, well, that being said, I got a tool that the Eating Wild boys have custom made, and we've been talking about this a lot on the podcast. This is a gift from us to you, from Lewis, and myself, and CJ. This is the Kukushkin fillet knife that is handcrafted by Mike at Kukushkin, Canadian. These are Japanese made, and that is for you. And it's
wow.
The next time you clean a fish, you're gonna remember.
I see the logo.
The logo, yeah, that's the best part. That is the best part.
That is awesome.
And it's razor sharp.
Can I use it?
Yeah,
for cleaning fish. And
of course you can use it.
Look at the handle.
Yeah, those are our custom handles. They're beautiful knives.
That's awesome. Thank you very much. What a quality piece of work, man.
Well, there you go, folks. This is Smash Meleca. We had a blast today, and I can't wait for you guys to check us out now on YouTube. This is happening. I know a lot of people have been wanting to see this for the last few years, and it's been a struggle for us. We've been trying to get it going, but this now is officially going to be our first episode on YouTube with the best guest that we can have. And catch us live. This will also be available on Spotify, Apple Music, wherever you get your podcasts. Make sure you drop us a line. Fish on, tight lines. Coach, get that tune started. You know what song I'm talking about. Get it going. We're out of here. Fish on. We'll see you next week.